Emotional mastery is a game changer. It's about being in control, making better decisions, and living a more fulfilling life. But here is the unsettling paradox. The more you try to control your emotions, the more they seem to control you. You white-knuckle your anger. You suppress your anxiety. You plaster on a smile when you're crumbling inside. And for what? That tension has to go somewhere. It leaks out as a sharp word you can't take back, a decision made from fear, a life lived in reaction, not in command. This is the great lie of emotional control, that it is an act of force. What if you've been approaching your inner world all wrong? What if the storm of frustration you feel isn't a flaw to be eliminated, but a signal to be deciphered? Imagine that feeling not as an enemy to be conquered, but as a deeply encrypted message, carrying intelligence about a boundary being crossed, a value being violated, a truth you've been refusing to see. The chaos isn't the problem. Your misinterpretation of it is. This changes everything, doesn't it? It shifts the battle from the external symptom to the internal source. But this leads to a more profound, almost dangerous question. If your emotions are not random eruptions, but a precise personal language, what are they actually trying to say? And who or what inside you is doing the speaking? The answer to that is the master key you've been searching for your entire life. The true prison isn't the emotion itself. It's the unseen warden you built inside your own mind. This internal architect, what Carl Jung termed the shadow, is the repository of everything you've been taught to disown. Your rage, your envy, your raw, unfiltered desires. Society, a machine that craves order, conditioned you from birth to exile these parts of yourself into the darkness. You were praised for composure and shamed for outbursts, taught that certain feelings were bad, but a disowned part of the self does not vanish. As Jung warned, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. This is the psychological trap. You believe you are reacting to the world, but you are really reacting to the exiled fragments of your own psyche, screaming for recognition. Every time you feel a surge of inappropriate jealousy, your conditioned warden slams the door, creating the internal civil war you mistake for a lack of control. The philosopher Arthur Schopenhauer glimpsed this truth, stating, "A man can do what he wants, but not want what he wants." Your will is not your own, because your desires and fears are puppeteered by forces you refuse to acknowledge. You are not fighting a feeling. You are fighting a ghost, the ghost of who you were forced to become. This conditioning runs so deep, it feels like reality itself. But what if this internal fragmentation, this self-rejection, is the very engine that generates your suffering? What immense power would you unlock if you could cease the war and instead understand the language of your exiles? The consequences of ignoring this are far more sinister than a bad day. They shape the very architecture of a life lived in quiet desperation. This internal fragmentation doesn't just cause personal discomfort. It silently architects your entire reality. Every suppressed emotion doesn't disappear. It calcifies into a cognitive bias, a lens that distorts your perception of the world. The unprocessed anxiety becomes a hypervigilant filter, making you see threats where none exist. The buried resentment curdles into cynicism, poisoning new relationships before they even begin. This is your limbic system, hijacked by the past, projecting old wounds onto a fresh canvas. You are not living your life. You are reliving your unresolved history. Culturally, we are conditioned to seek external solutions for this internal wiring. We scroll through curated highlight reels, comparing our behind-the-scenes chaos to everyone's greatest hits, deepening the sense of isolation. We are fed the seductive lie that the next purchase, the next promotion, the next partner will finally quiet the storm within. This is what Aldous Huxley foresaw, a society pacified by distraction, numbing itself to the very feelings that hold the key to liberation. The consequence is a world of intelligent, capable people who feel like helpless passengers in their own lives. making choices from a place of fear and lack rather than power and purpose. The most dangerous outcome is the erosion of your authentic self. The persona you present to the world becomes a carefully constructed dam, holding back a reservoir of authentic feeling. The energy required to maintain this facade is immense, leading to the existential fatigue that defines modern life. You become a stranger to yourself, your instincts muted, your intuition silenced. But that reservoir must find a release. It will leak out in passive aggression, in unexplained lethargy, in a profound sense of emptiness that no external achievement can fill. This is the cost of the war within. But what if ceasing the fight isn't a surrender, but the ultimate strategic victory? The rebellion begins with a radical, counterintuitive ceasefire. Stop trying to control the emotion and start seeking to understand it. This is not passive acceptance. It is active, courageous inquiry. It is the shift from being a soldier in your own civil war to becoming an anthropologist of your inner world. The next time anger flares, instead of throttling it, you ask with genuine curiosity, what is this protecting? What boundary was crossed? When anxiety trembles, you don't dismiss it, but inquire, what future am I trying to control? What am I truly unprepared for? This is the practical application of Viktor Frankl's profound insight. Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. This space is where your power is born. You deconstruct the emotion, not as a monolithic enemy, but as a composite of valuable data, a physical sensation, a thought pattern, a deeply held belief. You greet your jealousy not with shame, but with a question. What value do I feel is being threatened? What do I desire that I believe I lack? This process of mindful dissection, drawn from Stoic and Buddhist traditions, robs the emotion of its tyrannical power and transforms it into your greatest teacher. You are no longer a puppet of conditioned reactions. You reclaim authorship of your inner narrative. This is how you break free. You practice this not in the calm, but in the storm. Each emotional trigger becomes a gym for your consciousness. With every conscious breath in that space between feeling and action, you weaken the old conditioned pathways and forge new ones. You are not eliminating the human experience. You are mastering your relationship to it. You are building an unshakable identity that can hold space for the entire spectrum of feeling without being overthrown by it. But this mastery leads to one final staggering realization about the very nature of control itself. The ultimate truth is this: mastery was never about control. It was about communion. The final paradigm shift is realizing that you were never meant to be the unfeeling master of your inner domain, but the integrated, conscious steward of it. True power is not the absence of stormy weather within you. It is the ability to stand, unwavering, in the midst of it, to hold the entire chaotic, beautiful spectrum of your being without fracturing. You are not silencing the voices. You are finally listening, and in that deep, non-judgmental listening, they lose their destructive power and reveal their purpose. This redefines reality itself. Your emotions are not obstacles to your peace. They are the very instruments of your deepest intelligence, the compass needle pointing toward your unmet needs, your deepest values, and your unlived life. The goal is not a sterile calm, but a vibrant, responsive authenticity where every feeling, from searing grief to ecstatic joy, is allowed to flow through the conscious vessel of your being. You are the sky, not the weather. The weather is allowed to be. This is the poetic end of the war, a profound reconciliation with yourself. It is the realization that the control you sought externally was always an illusion, and the sovereignty you craved was only ever found internally, in the radical, unconditional acceptance of all that you are. Now, the question is not how you will control your emotions, but what your emotions, now fully understood, will empower you to do, to create, and to become. The masterpiece was never about painting over the dark colors. It was about learning to see the necessity of the shadow to complete the art.